Welcome everyone. This is Central Michigan Stacker. Welcome to the Labor Day special I'm going to do on the Kon-Tiki 5-ounce 3/9 fine silver coin I received in the mail last week. I told you I'd do some research on it and figure out a little more about it and what it was about exactly. And what I ended up finding out is the man that sailed the raft's name was Thor Heyerdahl. He was born in 1914 in Norway, October 6th. And in 1947, he and 5 of his closest seaman comrades and 1 parrot set out to cross the Pacific Ocean from Peru to Marquess. The voyage was to be made on a raft, not a ship, which is this right here. This is the Kon-Tiki raft, constructed of 9 balsa wood logs strapped together with hemp rope, with a makeshift bamboo cabin positioned in the center of the raft for shelter and storage and provisions and things like that. The raft was virtually impossible to steer, they said, so they were at the mercy of the trade winds, and sharks were forever prevalent. Sharks were just there at all times. They were traveling right around 80 miles a day, and it was going to be a 4,000-mile trip to make it. They ended up making it. The trip took a total of 101 days. Now, the reason for the trip in the first place was to prove that it could have been done 5,000 years earlier with the materials that they would have had to use back in those days. That's why they used the balsa wood logs and the hemp rope and the bamboo hut for the middle of the raft and whatnot. And up until that time, it was believed that the island had been populated from people from Asia rather than South America. So he wanted to prove that people from South America could have made the voyage using that type of raft and those provisions and whatnot, with no rudder, nothing to steer it, just trade winds. That's all they had to depend on primarily. He took a small camera with him. That's why I have this here also. This is just to represent the hemp rope that they use, this little cannabis coin here from Canada. Marijuana leaf over top of the Canadian maple. But what they wanted to do, he took a camera with him to document the whole situation and whatnot. And in 1951, when the trip was over and they were back, he won an Oscar for the best documentary film. And he also wrote a book about the trip, which was entitled The Kon-Tiki Expedition by Raft Across the South Seas. And since then, it had been translated into 65 languages and sold over 20 million copies. So it's quite a story. It's quite a story in all actuality. And the elders on the island had told him of people that the story was handed down over generation after generation, but people that had come from the east with the name of Tiki. So that's where the Kon-Tiki comes from. It's a god, a Peruvian god of some sort. That's why they ended up calling the raft that, because of the story that he had heard, from the elders on the thing. And that's what made him believe that the people came from South America rather than where they had been suggested that the people had come from to inhabit that island. And he and his buddies went ahead and made this raft out of the materials that they would have had back then. And like I said, it took them 101 days to cross the South Seas. They made it. Got himself an Oscar out of it for the little bitty amount of film that he made. And he wrote a real nice book that, like I said, had 20,000 copies made. That's what I came up with. I saw that stuff. I did the research pretty much on YouTube, but there are some beautiful documentaries that other people have done about that voyage. If you want to check them out, that's where they're at on YouTube. Just look up Kon-Tiki Raft Voyage. And then I also put this in here because we know of a guy that made a voyage himself across the Delaware one fateful night back there in 1776. And he happens to be the father of our country. And right there's the story about his travel. Give you something else to check out on this Labor Day weekend. George Washington. And this is it's not 3/9 fine silver. This is made out of sterling silver. But I purchased this a while back. It's high relief, if you can see the high relief on it and whatnot. It's one of my favorite coins that I have. But it tells the story of George Washington crossing the Delaware. And there's a lot of interesting information on that as well. I hope you enjoyed the tidbits I found for you on that. It was fun watching the documentaries on that trip. Learned quite a bit of stuff myself about it. So if you like it, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, this is Central Michigan Stacker, and I'm out.